This is the fourth and final part of the series. The hold of the other gods on humans around the world was so total that these gods often demanded human sacrifices from their worshippers, who promptly obeyed them. These sacrifices, which today will be called ritualistic murders, were practiced in many human societies, beginning in prehistoric times. They were done in the name of worshiping the gods. In the real sense, what was happening was that these so-called gods were taking advantage of humans. Isis, Tutatis, and Taranis were examples of ancient gods that demanded human sacrifices from their worshippers. Human sacrifices to Isis were hanged from a tree. Those to Tutatis were drowned, and sacrifices to Taranis were burned. It was fairly easy to deduce from these activities that these gods were vicious spirits masquerading as deities. These human sacrifices were intended to please or appease these gods. These fallen spirits, who were the so-called gods, were also responsible for several heinous customs among humans, wherein, for example, a monarch's servants were killed in order for them to continue to serve their master in the next life. There was a particular god, Molech, who demanded that children be sacrificed to it. In some parts of Africa, before the coming of the missionaries, that is, Christian missionaries, there were places where twins were seen as signs of bad luck. They were thus killed at birth on the instructions of the gods. All this served as further confirmation that humans were actually worshiping evil spirits who were masquerading as gods. There was no doubt that these gods held sway over humans until the coming of Jesus Christ. It must not be forgotten that these were the same fallen spirits who actually colluded with their human agents to kill Jesus Christ, because they felt so threatened by him. However, they did not reckon with the fact that Christ allowed himself to be overcome by death, so that he could make an end of these so-called gods and their master, Satan. The Bible states in Hebrews chapter 2, verses 14 and 15. Since therefore, that is, these his children share in flesh and blood, that is, in the physical nature of human beings, he, that is himself, in a similar manner partook of the same, that is nature, that by, that is going through death, he might bring to naught and make of no effect him who had the power of death, that is the devil, and also that he might deliver and completely set free all those who through the, that is haunting fear of death, were held in bondage throughout the whole course of their lives. The most tragic thing is that over 70% of humans living today are still running after and worshiping these so-called gods, who are effectively fallen spirits. However, unlike in ancient times, these gods have now reinvented themselves in the form of world religions. Have you noticed that one thing that all these world religions also have in common is the denigration of the lordship and divinity of Jesus Christ? These spirits know that the coming of Christ was and is still the only opportunity for humans to obtain deliverance and total freedom from the bondage and tyranny of these false gods. Christ has disgraced these spirits through his death and resurrection. These gods, therefore, cannot save anyone, and they are not worthy of worship. You have been warned. This is why Colossians chapter 2, verses 14 and 15 state, having cancelled and blotted out and wiped away the handwriting of the note, that is bond, with its legal decrees and demands, which was in force and stood against us, that is hostile to us. This, that is note, with its regulations, decrees, and demands, he set aside and cleared completely out of our way by nailing it to, that is his cross. That is, God disarmed the principalities and powers that were ranged against us, and made a bold display and public example of them, in triumphing over them in him and in it, that is the cross. We have now come to the end of this series, and we believe you have been greatly blessed. We have shown that the so-called gods are fallen spirits. It is your responsibility to resist them in the name of Jesus. As you do so, the Lord Himself will empower you, and you will go from victory to victory in His glorious name. Thank you.